In the heart of the bustling city, a man named James sat alone on a bench, his eyes filled with memories of better days. Once a proud soldier, James had bravely served his country in the military. He fought for freedom and safety, carrying the weight of duty on his shoulders. But when he returned home, things were not as he had hoped. The transition to civilian life was harder than he imagined. Struggles with finding a job and dealing with personal issues left him feeling lost and isolated. Without family or friends to lean on, James found himself living on the streets, battling not only the elements but also the haunting shadows of war that followed him. Each night, as he laid his head down in alleys or shelters, he thought about the sacrifices he made and wondered if anyone remembered. Despite his hardships, there was a flicker of hope in him, a belief that one day someone would recognize his struggle and honor his service. Little did he know that day would come sooner than expected as he faced the courtroom that morning. One chilly evening, while James was searching for a warm place to sleep, he stumbled upon an abandoned storefront. It seemed like a refuge from the harsh wind, but as he settled in, he noticed a group of people nearby. They were arguing loudly over some items that had been left outside. Unable to ignore their scuffling, James tried to walk past them quietly. Suddenly, one of the men noticed him and, fueled by anger and alcohol, accused James of stealing. Panic flooded over James as he insisted he hadn't taken anything. The situation escalated quickly. Words turned into shoves, and before he knew it, a fight broke out. In the chaos, things went wrong. A thrown punch accidentally struck someone else, and within moments, sirens wailed in the distance. When the police arrived, they immediately arrested James despite his pleas of innocence. As he was led away in handcuffs, a mix of shame and fear filled his heart. He never imagined that a desperate search for shelter would end with him facing charges in court. This incident marked a new chapter that would change everything for the homeless veteran. As James entered the courtroom, he felt the heavy weight of judgment pressing down on him. The room was filled with people, lawyers, a few reporters, and members of the public, all waiting for the proceedings to begin. Sunlight streamed through high windows, casting a warm glow, but James's heart felt cold and anxious. When the judge took his seat and called for order, everyone snapped to attention. But there was a palpable tension in the air. Some spectators exchanged whispers, aware of James's military service and the struggles he faced being homeless. Just then, the judge pronounced his name, James Carter. In that moment, something remarkable happened. The entire courtroom rose to their feet. It was an unexpected display of respect, admiration, and solidarity for a man who had once fought for his country. The usual clatter and murmurs fell silent as eyes turned toward him. James looked around in disbelief. A mix of emotions surged within him: gratitude, hope, and confusion. In that instant, he realized he was not alone. His sacrifice had not been forgotten. This moment would be crucial as he prepared to face the judgment that lay ahead. As the courtroom rose in respect for James, the judge's expression changed markedly. Judge Thompson had seen many cases in his years of service, but he recognized something different about this one. His eyes softened as he looked at James, understanding that behind the label of defendant was a man who once donned a uniform and faced the dangers of war. With a firm but gentle voice, the judge addressed the room. "This is more than just a case. This is a life we're discussing." His words echoed with sincerity, resonating with both compassion and authority. Judge Thompson had dedicated his career to justice, but today he was navigating uncharted waters where empathy collided with law. He took a moment to reflect before continuing. This was not merely a military veteran facing charges. This was James Carter, someone who deserved to be heard. The judge leaned forward in his seat, signaling that he would treat this case with the dignity it warranted. His response marked a pivotal moment in the trial, setting the tone for what was to come and reminding everyone in the room of the honor associated with service and sacrifice. As the trial unfolded, a wave of support emerged from the community, filling the courtroom with an unexpected warmth. Veterans from nearby organizations gathered to stand behind James, wearing their uniforms with pride. They understood his struggles all too well and were determined to show him that he was not alone in his fight. Some carried signs that read, "We stand with you and thank you for your service," creating a powerful visual reminder of solidarity. Family members and friends, although few, had made their way to the courthouse, some traveling great distances to be there for him. Their presence was a beacon of hope amidst the uncertainty. The spectators whispered words of encouragement, sharing stories of their own battles and triumphs. News reporters began to take notice of the crowd's energy, realizing that this was not just a trial. It was a gathering of hearts united for a common cause. This collective support lifted James's spirits. For the first time in a long while, he felt seen and valued. The courtroom transformed into a space of empathy and understanding, reminding everyone that community can heal even the deepest wounds. The trial began with the presentation of evidence, as the prosecutor laid out the case against James. She spoke of the fight that night, emphasizing how chaos had erupted and how someone was injured. With confidence, she argued that James's presence in the wrong place at the wrong time made him responsible for the actions that followed. The courtroom listened attentively, though murmurs of doubt stirred among those sympathetic to his plight. On the defense side, James's attorney rose to respond. With compassion in her voice, she painted a picture of James as a man searching for shelter and safety, not trouble. She called upon witnesses from nearby shelters who testified about James's character, highlighting his kindness and willingness to help others in need. Her arguments focused on the idea that he had acted out of fear rather than malice. As testimonies unfolded, you could feel the tension in the air. The judge listened carefully, weighing each point made by both sides. Questions arose, leading to moments of skepticism as they examined whether justice could be truly served for a veteran struggling to survive against insurmountable odds. The weight of James's future hung in the balance, as everyone awaited the conclusion of this pivotal day. As the trial progressed, moments of reflection filled the courtroom, resonating deeply with those in attendance. For James, this was more than just a legal battle. It was a pivotal moment to reclaim his dignity after feeling lost for so long. As he listened to the arguments, he thought about the sacrifices he made during his service and wondered if they meant something in this moment of uncertainty. Meanwhile, the other veterans present found themselves reflecting on their own experiences. Many felt a shared bond with James and grappled with feelings of guilt that came from witnessing someone who fought for their freedom now struggling to find justice. The atmosphere shifted as people began discussing what this trial represented, a chance for redemption and recognition not only for James, but for all veterans who felt overlooked. The ripple effects reached beyond James himself. Community members contemplated their roles in supporting those who served them. Conversations sparked about how society could better assist veterans in their transition to civilian life, emphasizing the importance of compassion and understanding. In that courtroom, hope mingled with grief, reminding everyone of their responsibility to uplift those who had fought bravely for them. The moment of truth arrived as Judge Thompson prepared to announce the verdict. The tension in the courtroom was palpable, with everyone holding their breath in anticipation. James sat quietly, his heart racing, flanked by supportive veterans and friends who had come stand by him. Memories of his service and the hope for a better future filled his mind as he waited. After careful consideration of the evidence and testimonies presented, the judge began, his voice steady. "I find the defendant, James Carter, not guilty of all charges." A wave of relief swept through the courtroom, erupting into applause and cheers from James's supporters. Tears filled his eyes as he felt the weight of despair lift off his shoulders. For many in attendance, it was a moment of vindication, not just for James, but for all veterans who had faced similar struggles. However, amid the joy, some still grappled with the realities of life after trial. While James's legal battles had ended favorably, he knew that challenges lay ahead. The verdict gave him a chance to rebuild his life, but it also reminded everyone that true healing and support were essential for those who had fought for their country. Following the trial, James stood on the threshold of a new beginning, yet he knew challenges still awaited him. With the verdict of not guilty weighing heavily on his mind, he felt a surge of determination to reclaim his life. Support poured in from various veterans organizations eager to help him reintegrate into society. They offered resources for housing, employment, and counseling, recognizing that James needed more than just legal freedom. He required a safety net. James considered accepting a place in a local veterans shelter, which would provide him with not only lodging but also assistance in finding stable work. He knew he needed to address the struggles that had led him to homelessness in the first place. Sessions with counselors could help him cope with the trauma of war and his recent experiences. In a community gathering held shortly after the trial, James spoke about his journey and the importance of support for veterans like him. He aimed to inspire others to share their stories, fostering an environment where healing was possible. With both hope and resolve, James stepped forward into this next chapter of his life, ready to rebuild and help others along the way. In the end, James's journey illuminated powerful themes of honor, redemption, and the importance of community support for veterans. His trial was not just about facing accusations. It became a catalyst for change, showcasing the resilience of a man who once felt lost but found hope amidst adversity. The courtroom's reaction, rising in respect for his service, served as a poignant reminder that sacrifices made in defense of freedom should never be forgotten. As James began to rebuild his life, he recognized that he was part of a larger community of veterans who shared similar struggles. Their collective strength fostered an environment where healing could flourish. By sharing his story and advocating for support systems, he aimed to inspire others to seek help and show that no veteran should face their battles alone. Ultimately, this experience highlighted the critical need for compassion and understanding from society. James's path forward, filled with promise and determination, underscored the belief that every veteran deserves a second chance. Together, as a community, they could honor their sacrifices by ensuring that no one falls through the cracks again, a commitment to uplift those who have given so much for their country.